Welcome everyone to another Company Fears 2 Rivlicast. It's gonna be a 2v2 on Outskirts. Lovely. And it's gonna be uploaded to co2.org by Mr. Miles, playing as the USF in the Eastern Spawn. His ally is gonna be Zara, playing as the Soviets. And they're gonna be facing up against Von Ivan, playing as the Wehrmacht. Love you, Von Ivan. Everybody loves Von Ivan. And then G-Dot, playing as the OKW. Already getting out of Cuba Wagon for the Outskirts map. Now, in case you have never seen this before, 2 fuel points on the opposite ends of the map that are controlled by some very crucial buildings, a couple of wind ones, and then there are a couple of stone ones covering some closer areas to the cutoff. Yes, there's a couple of very nice cutoffs on this map. This one in particular for the Allies side, and this one for the Axis side, obviously for this game. And we already have a machine gun coming out of Von Ivan, as well as a weapons support company from Zara. So he's going to be bringing out the Maxim as well. Tons of machine guns already coming out for both sides, because on this map there's quite a bit of open terrain where machine guns can really shine, so having those is never a bad idea. Now, already getting out those rear echelon troops right into this stone house. They're going to be able to hold off at least the Cube Wagon for quite a while, but the Volksgrenadiers for G-Dot are also around, while the Cube Wagon is soaking up fire from those M1 carbines of the the rear echelon troops. Then the riflemen can actually do their job. Now, the MG42 is also going to be coming in to support, but of course, this kind of leaves the left side open to the Soviets. Soviet player is taking advantage and taking the fuel point, but Von Ivan's Grenadiers are able to deal quite a bit of damage to the rear echelon troops, and they're probably going to be able to, along with the push from the Sturm Pioneers from G-Dot, be able to take control of the right side of the map for Germany. Now, the problem with the Sturm Pioneers being here is that they're not really around to repair the Cube Wagon. Cube Wagon does try to make a just drive to the Pioneer Squad, but the Pioneer Squad gets caught up by some conscripts, and so it's going to have to retreat back to base to repair the Cube Wagon and save its own skin. So not the best possible outcome of that for the Germans, but we do see that on the right side they're starting to get their revenge on the Allies, and riflemen from Mr. Miles are going to be trying to cover the Maxim. Maxim firing at the building containing both the MG42 and the Grenadiers from Von Ivan. It's going to be taking quite a bit of fire, and it looks like the Grenadiers are taking the brunt of that, which is quite fortunate for the MG42 crew, because it does not want to lose that crucial support weapon in this engagement. And we do see a mortar on the field for Von Ivan, so that's going to definitely help to flush out these entrenched Allied positions. We do see that the Sturm Pioneers are doing quite a bit of damage to these riflemen because they're standing in red cover. It looks like, unfortunately, Mr. Miles was kind of forgetting about them. So G-Dot has been able to deal quite a bit of damage with the Sturm Pioneers. Very unfortunate, and very nice push from G-Dot with the Volksgrenadiers. Going to be able to capture the cutoff point for the Allies and probably hold it for a while, thanks to the fact that these two squads are still at full HP. So it's going to be very hard for the Allies to actually regain that. Excellent flank coming in from the Sturm Pioneers. There's only a couple of windows that can fire out of here, but the Maxim manages to actually reposition and get a burst off on those Pioneers, thus kind of sending them back running to Berlin. Now, in the south, we see that there is an MG42 firing on these poor conscripts that are trying to hold the building, just to give a little bit of time to other Allied units to capture the cutoff point. Unfortunately, the German squads are still kind of being active around, and they're going to have to be repulsed by some riflemen that are coming in. Now, Mr. Miles has gone for a mortar of his own, which is probably a good decision, because he's going to need that mortar to actually deal with the MG42 from Von Ivan, and possibly even any kind of support weapons that G-Dot might be bringing out. Now, he hasn't really gotten any because he still does not have that Tier 1 up. He will have the SWS Super half-track turn into something hopefully soon. He does have that on the field, so soon enough he'll have the ability to actually go for something. And yeah, it looks like a couple of Maxims, free Maxims in fact, from Zara. We do see a bit of a Maxim spam coming out of him, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does with it, because right now the Allies are being pushed back to base, which would not exactly be the best decision for them. Unfortunately, they don't really have much choice in the matter because of how well the Germans played in the early game. And right now, the Grenadiers from Von Ivan are trying to capture the VP, but they're in a bit of red cover, which means that once the Maxim can actually reposition the fire on them, they're going to be executed basically instantly by that very dangerous machine gun. And in fact, 1 casualty is the price for the capture of that PP, which I think might be fine because considering, oh, very, very good hit from the mortar. Mortar does take a hit in return though from the American mortar, so a bit of a payback coming in, and fortunately the rifleman will be able to escape with just a sliver of health. Very, very lucky indeed. Now, AT gun is coming out for Zara, definitely scared of any kind of German light vehicles. And that's a pretty legitimate fear considering that G Dot is going for that mechanized regiment headquarters, so he's going to have the ability to get out those devastating light vehicles. Sorry, I had to cough. Such as the Lukes. Lukes could be a good idea right now because of the lack of valid AT. He does not know about the AT gun that Zara has gone out, so it really depends on if he wants to risk the Luke's play. Now, if he's going to be essentially aggressive enough with the Lukes, he can also do quite a bit of damage regardless of the AT gun. It remains to be seen though. There is a second mortar on the field from Mr. Miles, and right now the Allies are just trying to overrun the right side of the map. Unfortunately, this wooden house is going to go down soon enough along with the MG. MG tries to escape, but it does kind of a derp move while trying to get away, and it gets hit right in the face by a mortar round. So unfortunately, MG42 will go down, and immediately Von Ivan will go for a replacement. He has gone for the elite troops doctrine, which means that he does have those G43s available to his grenadiers, and also the stun grenades. Stun grenade almost going down on the rifleman, but the rifleman managed to see that the grenadiers were shooting something out of their pocket, and they were able to avoid it. It kind of forced Von Ivan to cancel it. Second rifleman squad coming in for the flank on the MG42, but it will be repulsed by some grenadiers that are protecting the flank of the German positions. Also, some grenadiers from G Dot, in fact 4 Focus Grenadier spots from G Dot, are going to be pushing up against the mortar, thus forcing it to reposition and forcing it to not fire for a while, which means that the Germans will have a little bit of a breathing room. And right now, they're trying to use that breathing room to push up some more infantry, but unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to do much because here come the mortar rounds again. In fact, friendly mortar rounds. What? Oh no, that was this guy firing on the Germans. Captain on the field for Mr. Miles, along with an ambulance. It's going to be able to heal up his troops quite easily. And, well, Captain is going to be useful for the Stuart. He still does not have the resources for that. It's going to be a couple of minutes before he can bring out the Stuart. Or also for an AT gun, because AT guns will also be very nice at this very moment. Let's see what G Dot is going for. He is going for that Luke's. He hasn't really spotted the anti-tank gun quite yet, because the anti-tank gun hasn't been in the fight at all. So we will see if that AT gun can actually catch the Lukes by surprise with some kind of ambush, or if the Lukes can catch the AT gun by surprise, kind of turn the hunt on the hunted. And that would be quite nice if the AT gun could be flanked by Lukes. Of course, depends on how well Zara positions it. Now, a couple of Maxims being positioned in a kind of a depth formation. There was one machine gun on the wooden structure, one machine gun on the stone structure covering it. So that was quite a decent positioning for the MG to form Zara, because he does not want them to be sort of all hit in one go and destroyed in that way. Now, Lukes is on the field and will start to pound on these conscripts, forcing one to retreat and the other one to make a little bit of a backstep. Of course, the AT gun does reveal itself and fires a shot, devastatingly hitting the frontal armor of the Lukes, do quite a bit of damage, and also forcing it to retreat. Very good first shot from the AT gun. Not going to be doing all that much damage. There goes the Kugelwagen from something. I'm guessing it was a mine. Not really doing all that much damage, but definitely going to be forcing it on the defensive for quite a while. Going to be forcing it to repair. The automatrons from the mechanized headquarters are still not available, so G Dot is going to have to expend his Stern Pioneers to actually repair it for a while. And right now, very good job from Mr. Miles getting his rear echelon troops with the minesweepers to capture the right side field point. Right now, the Allies do control the field on the left side, so having the extra fuel income is going to be useful for them, and especially the denial is going to be great, as they know that G Dot does have the mechanized regiment headquarters, and they know that Von Ivan might be going for something of the sort soon enough. He does have the battle phase 2 and 1 upgraded. He, interestingly enough, has not gone for the Leichte Mechanized Company, which would have been very, very useful for the 2 Scout Car and the pack, but it looks like he's going to be going for the later tiers of play. Now, he does have the ability to spawn some Stormtroopers, which would be quite devastating in flanking some of the support weapons that the Allies have. Perhaps spawned in this area of the map. Wait, there isn't any buildings though. Well, never mind. Shows you how much I know the map. And yeah, in general, if there's an opportunity for Von Ivan to spawn those stormtroopers, I'm pretty sure he's going to take the opportunity and do some damage with them. But remember, with the stormtroopers, they're 340 manpower, so you should not really spawn them willy-nilly. You should really be looking to get some damage out of them. Now, BRs are on the field for Mr. Miles, and they're going to be able to pretty much massacre at close range these poor Grenadiers who have not really been able to get much veterancy so far. So the Riflemen are going to have still pretty much free reign over them, especially with their veterancy superiority. And there is the Steward on the field, which is going to be able to counter the Lukes with its stun shot, and its very, very nice anti-infantry capabilities as well to help out his Rifleman squad. Now, on the right side, there's a bit of a push. Bazookas coming in from the Riflemen. They're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to the Fox Rangers on red cover. And in general, just... ooh, this guy might actually get wiped if he's not careful enough. G-Dot, no? Okay, good. He's going to be able to escape. Okay, so Stewart is on the field and has gotten its first shots in on the Germans, but the Germans managed to escape quite easily. And so they're going to have to sort of be a little bit more careful right now that the Steward is out. Of course, there is a Puma out for G-Dot. Interesting choice. I feel like he was expecting also a T-70, which is exactly... Oh no, a Su-76 from Zara. So definitely good coordination coming in from the allies. Getting the Su-76 to help out with the anti-vehicle capabilities. Now, this looks... has been kind of mismicroed by G-Dot. He has just been pushing into the same area for like 3 times in a row and getting a shot for its troubles basically every time. So what I feel like G-Dot should have done at this point is he should have realized that there were these AT guns positioned over here, ready to fire on the Lukes, pretty much wherever it showed its face. So he could have actually flanked or taken an alternative route, but he decided to not do that, and that kind of cost them a lot of time of usefulness on the Lukes. The Lukes hasn't really been able to do much damage in the meantime. Right now, the Allies have plenty of counters out with the 2 AT guns and the Su-76. The main problem I see is that most of the Allied AT assets are focused on the Soviet player. So right now, if the Germans are actually kind of going to be focusing on Mr. Miles with their vehicles, then they're going to have a pretty easy time of it, as evidenced by this Puma just bullying away the Stewart. Captain going to be coming in with the bazooka to try and scare away the Puma, which is going to be successful, especially with the help of the Riflemen taking out the MG42. If the Riflemen are able to steal an MG42, it's going to be very good for the Allies, because that support weapon is going to be extremely useful in defending against the German infantry in the later stages of the game. And right now, some of the Allied troops are also trying to overrun the Germans on the right side of the map with the use of the buildings. Thankfully, there was a Pioneer with a flamethrower able to deal with that building quite easily. Now, counter battery fire from the German mortars, it looks like, took out the American mortar, but not the vetted one, which is a bit of a problem because obviously that vetted one is going to be a priority target for the Germans if they don't want to get completely demolished by it. Von Ivan does have the Austrian out on the field. Austrian going to be fairly useful against the Allied infantry, especially the American one. Of course, mostly because of the fact that the Soviet does not really have infantry. He only has support weapons and, well, a couple of AT guns, which are going to be extremely useful against the Austrian. So if the Austrian can focus on the Americans, it's going to have a fairly easy time. Right now, Mr. Miles has gone for the Heavy Cavalry Company, as G-Dot has gone for the Special Operations. Special Operations is going to be extremely useful later on for the Command Panther tank. And also, if he wants to go for some Obersoldan for those infrared SDGs. Also, if he needs spawning, the artillery flares are going to be extremely useful. But right now, he's very low on munitions, so I think he would be very, very hard-pressed to actually find a time to actually use that well. Luke's is actually started to go into battle facing its rear armor because I think it's intentional, actually, because I think he wants to essentially have a quicker way to escape because, of course, going rear-facing, you're going to be retreating quicker. I still think that was not... Yeah, I think that was intentional, because it's not like the Luke's rear armor is going to be really holding up, but the frontal armor won't really hold up either, so really no difference between going frontal or rear armor. Let's see what he does, next time. Okay, he might be going frontal armor against the Stuart because the Stuart can actually bounce on the Lukes. And it's going to be supporting the Puma against the Allied infantry. Now, there is a artillery flare spawning all the American support weapons. Of course, here comes the Puma, going to be firing on the Stuart. Stuart does use the stun round, and it's going to be saving it essentially because the Stuart does take an engine damage from the Puma's critical round. Anti-tank rifle grenade going to be basically shot by the rifleman to avoid the Puma chasing further, and that's going to be putting an end to that. And also, German mortar going down from the Allied mortars. Allied mortars also barraging the house with the German MG42 shooting out of it, and it's going to be forced to retreat. Austrian going to be putting an end to the rifleman push at the same time, so still a pretty even engagement for both the Allies and the Axis. At the same time, in the center, there's an MG Maxim that's going to be a little bit too clumped up for my tastes. Should definitely look to getting into open ground with it so that it's not such an easy target for mortars. On the left side, finally, the Germans are going to be trying to get some harassment done on the Allied points, but there is a demo charge for Zara. Of course, he does not realize where the Grenadiers are, so it's a little bit of a gamble as to whether or not he's going to actually detonate it. Just to be safe, he brings in the Su-76, which is a good play because now he will see that the poor Grenadiers are a little bit out of the range of that demo charge. And oh, very lucky with the 76mm round, just killing both of the Grenadiers in one hit. That was incredibly lucky. Oh, damn. And right now, on the right side, the Stuart is still taking damage from the Volksgrenadiers that are attacking. It looks like the repair crew was harassed by the Volksgrenadiers, and so the Volksgrenadiers kind of prevented the repair from fully going through. In the retreat, they hit a mine, which is a bit of a problem, but they managed to get out of it unscathed. Well, relatively so. Except for, you know, Heinz and Gunther, who just died. And also the second Volksgrenadier squad gonna be forced to retreat by the riflemen. Rifleman and Captain with the bazooka also gonna be dealing, maybe not any damage to Ostwind, but at least doing some sort of deterrence work on the Ostwind, which is pretty much just as good as killing it at this point, because Ostwind later on is not going to be that useful once the Allied armor starts to hit the field, especially that Pershing. Pershing is going to be 5 CPs away, so still quite a bit away. Very good job with the Maxim from Von Ivan. So far, his placement of the machine guns has been pretty good, and it's definitely hindering the possibilities for the Allies to actually use their infantry to get effect. Right now, the Stuart will be Stuart will be supported by an anti-tank gun. 57mm, going to be fairly useful against the Austrian, and there is a Stuka on the field for G-Dot, so he has gone for all those units from tier 3 of the OKW, definitely getting the most value out of it, and going to be using that Stuka to get pretty good effect. First barrage, always the most important in using any artillery piece, so getting the first barrage to be quite devastating is pretty much half the job, and right now there is a Stug on the field from Von Ivan. Interesting. I think that the Stug is okay, but with all the AT that the Allies have on this side, I still don't see really the point for the Stug, especially since the Allies haven't really gone for a lot of light vehicles. Stormtroopers being fielded by Von Ivan, and they're going to be upgraded with the STGs. STGs being very expensive at 100 munitions, but being very, very effective on the Stormtroopers because of the tactical assault ability that they get, being essentially the same as the American paratroopers. Just a lot more damage. Very, very useful to kill retreating squads, because you also take more damage while the ability is active. So it's definitely effective against targets that really can't shoot back. That's really the way I see that ability. Of course, Stormtroopers are also quite useful for their various grenades that they do have available to them. But, yeah, in fact, we do see a bundle grenade being thrown against the building, but conscripts will very, very smartly decide to get out. Of course, there's also the Grenadiers to take account of, and here comes the Su-76 barrage dealing quite a bit of damage to them, so even they are going to be forced to retreat by the combination of conscripts and Su-76s. And unfortunately, the poor machine gun is also taking quite a bit of mortar fire, so right now it looks like the Allies have managing to, considering to consolidate the left side of the map under their control. And right now, thankfully, the Su-76s are also allowing them to exert a little bit of pressure on the center of the map, which is going to be fairly useful for them. Maxim's being globbed up on the left by Zara, and they're going to be soon enough supported by some Soviet industry units. Interesting. I like Soviet industry. It's one of my favorite doctrines, and we'll see if he goes for a KB Flamethrower or a KB2. I feel like with the Stug being dead, okay, that's very interesting. Hold on. Yeah, the Stug being dead, not really quite sure as to how it died. Looks like it was chased by the anti-tank guns. Well, it ran into the anti-tank guns and then maybe died from the Su-76s chasing it? No. What killed it? I'm not sure, but there's a Stuka barrage and it might be coming down on this part of the map. Wait, what? Oh, looks like it took out the building with nothing in it. Rip. Yeah, I'm still not sure as to what killed that poor Stug. And there goes the Steward as well. From... What killed the Steward? I guess it was a Panzerfaust from those Grenadiers. Or maybe it was an artillery strike of some kind? Not sure. I'm just really not sure what's going on in this game, but oh well. It's just kind of confusing because everything's dying from everything. No less than what I expected. Now, again, I wouldn't really go for a KB Flamethrower if I was Zara because of the Stug. Because, again, Von Ivan rebuilt it, so it still kind of stands that KB8 against that would not be very effective. Now, Von Ivan is lacking AT in general, so I think that while the Stug kind of would counter the KB8, it would still be kind of viable because of the lack of AT that's generally present in Von Ivan's forces. So, maybe. Depends. He's going to need fuel for it, though, which he does not have yet. And we'll see if he actually goes for it. So we also have a bit of an engagement coming in. A couple of Volksgrenadiers are going to be able to easily repel these poor conscripts. In fact, one of the conscript squads got wiped lately, and there goes the tactical assault, wiping out the other conscript squad. So both the conscripts from Zara being wiped out. And he's going to go for the Tier 4 and the T-3476s. Interesting approach. I enjoyed the T-3476 as a vehicle quite a lot. It's going to be very useful against the German infantry, and I really see no fault with it. Very nice play with the Raketenwerfer being hidden on the right side from G-Dot. He's going to be able to ring out the command pad for soon enough. He almost has the fuel required. It's going to take a little more than a minute to scrounge up enough fuel to actually get that. And here comes a Stuka barrage. Very, very nice. Taking out, looks like, well, it took out something over here. And also took out part of the AT gun and dealt a little bit of damage to this fuel cache. And here comes the Pershing. So Pershing is going to be definitely very, 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 very strong against the OKW lineup and also against the Wehrmacht lineup, which means that if used correctly, it's going to be pretty much a key part to the Allied comeback, because right now they do have a superiority in terms of VPs, but in terms of current map control, the Germans are in a little bit of a favorable position, so they're going to need to do something to actually avoid this and turn it back around if they want to actually win the game. Now, the Zuko Riflemen are going to be trying to push up on the the Lukes. It's going to be forced to escape, but soon enough the Pershing will hit the fight, and it sees the Raketenwerfer and starts to fire up on it. Raketenwerfer very wisely decides to run away, but it's going to be a little bit too late, and Pershing is probably going to wipe it. That is unless the Raketenwerfer can escape, but it can't. Pershing pretty much just executes it, and Puma, a little bit too brave or perhaps a little bit too stupid, tries to come in, or perhaps both, and tries to come in against the Pershing, but decides very quickly that it's a bad idea, because it is, and Pershing is going to be forced to retreat by the Stug, interestingly enough. I feel like, yeah, if I was playing as the Americans right now, I would have stopped and taken out that Raketenwerfer. Now, there is the question of this Sturm Pioneer squad also, and also the fact that the Pershing's weak armor means that the Stug is going to be able to quite easily pen it, but oh well. On the left side of the map, looks like the Ostwind went down from Von Ivan. to the anti-tank guns from Zara, so they're definitely starting to get their work done. Along with the Su-76, the Su-76 is sniping all the German infantry. Interestingly enough, it's not something that you see every day. Anti-tank vehicles sniping infantry. T-3476 will finally join the fray, takes out our cannon riffer, and now the Grenadiers trying to recapture their cannon riffer will also feel the pain of the T-3476 firing upon them, and it's probably going to go down. Yep, perfect shot. You gotta be sniping it. And right now, the maximum spam from Zara has been completely rebuilt and is now ready to come in on the left side again. Zara does have 1,600 manpower, so I think he should go for a couple more engineers and a couple more conscript squads, because it would be definitely very useful to have a couple more repair units and units to lay down mines with. And then for the conscripts to just have that cannon fodder that can form your backbone of your front line, and then cap around the map, throw AT grenades, etc. 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 So I think that that's what he should be going for with all that manpower. Of course, he's also going to be saving up for that KV2, which costs 630 manpower. Right now, there is a command path around the field for G-Dot, but right now, really, he's going to be mainly using that against the Pershing. We'll see if the Pershing can actually survive this. Now, Stug going to be forced to pop the smoke to survive. Mortar is still on the front line, interestingly enough, and it's just very bravely lobbing rounds downrange on the Americans. Americans being suppressed by the MG42, going to be able to pretty easily shake that suppression once the MG42 is forced to retreat, as well as the mortar going to be forced to retreat soon enough as well. Pershing doing some fairly good work, firing at the German infantry. Here comes the Stuka barrage on the AT gun. Misses completely. Very unfortunate for G-Dot, who hasn't really been able to get that much pressure on that Stuka. Only 15 kills so far, which is fair, but not really best. Now, Pershing going to be slugging it out with the Command Panther. Does have the HVAP rounds. They're unfortunately on cooldown, but in general, the HVAP rounds will be very useful to deal with this Command Panther. Command Panther also straddling the line of fire of the Su-76s somehow. And on the left side of the map, we do see a bit of a push from the Allies. T-3476 is going to be able to very easily repel the Slooks. Slooks up to 15 kills, still not able to really pull its weight as it would have liked. Now, T-3476 is going to be able to very easily destroy these Sturm troops, but the Stug is going to be able to, well, very easily repel the T-3476. T-3476 going to go down, probably. Oh, very lucky. Very lucky it manages to escape just at the last possible second, and right now the AT gun doing quite a bit of damage in return to push Stug free. Very nice play. And the not T-24, KB2 is going to be called in by Zara. Everybody looks at KB2. KB2 is going to be excellent with that firing position ability. If you can just plop that down about over here, he would have the hedgerows actually covering it. No, not the hedgerows, the trees actually covering it from the Germans, direct firing through it, and it would still have the ability to shoot at them if he has units to actually spot for it. The other option to position the KV2 would be around here. In general, you want to position it behind some kind of line of sight obstacle so that the enemy can directly fire up on it. Because remember, the KV2 basically fires in a kind of artillery mode once it goes into the firing position. So you can basically plop it down, basically, you know, on the other side of an obstacle. It will still be very useful. The main, obviously, disadvantage is the fact that it doesn't really have sight range or mobility. So you'd really need to support it and be very careful, just in case the enemy tries to bum rush it. You may want to retreat it. And right now the KV2 is going to be starting to make its mark, hopefully firing on the high value infantry, trying to get some wipes. Unfortunately hits the Americans, so it doesn't look like he's got a bit of a Cold War feeling into it, and tries to destroy the American capitalists before killing the Germans. But not before long, he's going to start to fire on the Germans as well and do quite a bit of damage. Now, the Command Panther is not going to be the best target for the KV2. Yeah, these Stormtroopers are definitely going to be the better one. But, again, remember, while it may not be the best target, the KV2 can still penetrate that Command Panther and do quite a bit of damage. The main problem is going to be the reload speed. Reload speed for the KV2, not exactly the best. So, not really going to be able to deal the most amount of sustained damage to the Command Panther, but it can still penetrate and do quite a lot of damage. Now, it does look like there's a horde of Soviet repair automatrons going to be coming in from 4 repair stations, count them, from Zara. And so he's going to be able to pretty much instantly repair whatever allied vehicle needs to be instantly repaired. And that's going to be a very, very good advantage for the allies. Now, Ranger is going to be coming in from Mr. Miles. He does not have those Thompsons being upgraded because he's kind of out of munitions. And that's going to limit their usefulness to basically just being glorified riflemen. That's not what you want your Rangers to be. You want your Rangers to have those Thompsons and then to have a BAR on top of those. Because the weapon slots work that way for the Rangers. So whenever you can do that, do it. And right now, in fact, it does look like the Americans are going to be struggling to retake the center VP, which means that the Germans are going to be recovering from a 100-point deficit to only a 50-point deficit. In terms of VPs, right now the command pffer is going to be still charging against the anti-tank gun. This looks like the Germans are just being very, very sort of thick-headed with their vehicle play. They just, especially G-Dot, just keeps running into those anti-tank guns. Instead of trying an alternative route, maybe supporting a tank push in an alternative route with minesweepers, for example, through this area of the map, just trying to come in through here and coming from the rear, maybe snipe 1 or 2 units and then pulling back. They keep just funneling their units through the center and just trying to go for the frontal assault type deal, where essentially it would work if you had a heavy tank, but right now it's the allies with the heavy tanks, the Pershing and the KV-2. The Germans have a Panther and a couple of light vehicles, and von Ivan has some medium armor and tank destroyers, but, well, not even medium armor. He had the Ostwit, but those are dead. So they're going to be taking quite a lot of damage from those allied heavy tanks that have extremely good HE power on their 90mm and 152mm guns. So basically they're just playing into the hands of the allies, despite the fact that they know exactly what that allied hand is. So it's not like they're discovering now that the allies have all this artillery, support weapons, heavy tanks trained in on their troops that are just trying to funnel through the center. It's not like this is the first time that it's happened to them, so I'm really wondering what the Germans are thinking right now, and whether or not they're going to be switching up their playstyles, because if they're not, then they're going to lose all their stuff. Just like, you know, von Ivan just lost all of his veteran grenadiers, and they're going to be extremely hard to replace, which means that, well, soon enough the allies will also have superior infantry as well as having superior vehicles. Ranger is going to be very easily actually getting out of suppression because the Rangers, they don't care, and they could have thrown an anti-tank, or not an anti-tank, they could have thrown a grenade on these stormtroopers, but they decided not to. The grenade would have actually detonated the mine as well and killed the entire stormtrooper squad, but unfortunately, Mr. Miles was not microing that, so he wasn't able to actually use that to its full potential. And there is a Tiger Ace. Tiger Ace on the field for von Ivan. Now, this unit is interesting. He does have 290 fuel to his bank, and I think that's a very big mistake to go for a Tiger Ace when you do have such a huge deficit of, no, not the deficit, it's more like a huge reserve, more like a huge investment bank, investment reserve fund of fuel at your disposal, because you really want the fuel to be expended before you spend the manpower to go for the Tiger Ace, because the Tiger Ace then is also going to decrease your income by a ton for your manpower. So you're not going to be able to support a Tiger Ace properly with other vehicles. Now, Tiger Ace and Stukas take out the two Su-76s, but the KV-2 plus Pershing combination does do quite a bit of damage to German vehicles. However, the Pershing does encounter quite a lot of resistance, and the Puma does manage to get in a critical hit on the Pershing, which allows the Tiger Ace to come in and destroy it. Which means that the KV-2 is now pretty much out of support, at least from vehicles. Command Panther are going to be distracting the KV-2 for quite a bit, and the Tiger Ace is going to be coming in from the side to do quite a bit of damage as well. But it does take an anti-tank rifle grenade from the Riflemen, and the Riflemen are equipped with bazookas over here. So very luckily, the Tiger Ace is equipped with the Panzer Tactician. Panzer Tactician going to be able to do quite a bit of... No. KV-2 manages to get the killing shot. Is this World of Tanks all over again? I think so, because that KV-2 just derped all over that Tiger Ace, and the Tiger Ace was just unable to withstand the glorious Soviet engineering, and so he was taken out. Now, this does mean that von Ivan is essentially out of a slot. He's out of a doctrine slot, essentially, but he does have income again, so it's both a blessing and a sort of curse. It's a curse in disguise. A blessing in disguise, a curse in disguise, I don't know, both. Just very ambiguous. Right now, the Axis are really not focusing on harassing the left side at all. In fact, both sides are really not harassing at all, which is, in my opinion, a bit of a mistake. Because right now, Zerad does not really need these engineers for anything. He does have like 17 repair stations available to him, so he doesn't really need his engineers to repair things or build more stuff. I mean, he's basically got like the Ural Vagonzavad factory works around here, just repairing all his shit, and there goes the Stuka on the 80 guns again. That's exactly the reason I would use the Stuka in this environment, and there is a second Stuka, which hasn't really been able to do much, unfortunately. I think it was kind of a mistake from G-Dot. He should have gone for maybe a normal Panther, or saved up for a King Tiger. If he's going to be using the same playstyle for the entire game, aka just kind of charging at the center line of the allies, which is a very interesting playstyle, and sometimes a viable one, then you will be best served with a heavy tank. So having that lovely King Tiger would have been nice for him. Now, having the 2 Stukas will help out in dealing with the allied support weapons, and maybe with their repair stations as well. But I still think the King Tiger would be better. Finally, Von Ivan sent some units capturing in the left side of the map. The T-3476 will do its job and actually come in and destroy it, but unfortunately it's on capture mode, so it will not really be shooting. Finally realizes that and actually starts firing at the enemy. And the KB2 takes out, happily, the MG42. So, glorious KB2, can't destroy it, just glorious Soviet engineering, just cannot be stopped, and, well, really the way you destroy the KB2 is you bum rush it with as many things as possible, especially from the flanks. So really, again, it's just a flanking maneuver game, where the Axis are not really flanking. Which is interesting, because normally it's the Axis that do better in these kinds of frontal slug matches, but the Allies have managed to optimize their army around this type of playstyle quite heavily, with the Maxim spam, the AT gun spam, the tank destroyers, and the heavy tanks. They're going to be able to basically stand up in a toe-to-toe fight with the Germans, and even win quite a lot of the time with favorable trades, so they're going to be able to do quite a lot. And so far, they have been able to use that to their advantage, whereas the Germans have really not been able to adapt really all that well. The only units that really are suited to this playstyle that the Germans have brought out were the Tiger Ace and the Stuks. I guess the Command Panther could also be considered, in a way, okay for this playstyle because of the bonuses that it does give to surrounding vehicles. But I still think that, again, King Tiger would have served G-Dot much better at this point. Or maybe just stopping the frontal charges. That would also be pretty nice, but I guess he's just in that kind of a mood today. Glorious KB2 still firing, and I still think it's not exactly the best position for the KB2. It's a little bit too far back, but the fact that it's far back is kind of playing into its own hand by the fact that it's kind of safe a little bit. Another thing to remember is that the KB2 is extremely vulnerable to artillery when it's in hull down mode. But right now, the Germans don't really have any artillery available to them, so it's really no problem. Well, they do have the 2 Stukas, of course, but the Stuka are not going to be extremely effective against the KB2, so, yeah. Here comes the Stuka, completely misses the Riflemen. Riflemen are actually able to just completely walk into the German rear areas, take a bundle grenade to the face, and take huge amounts of casualties, but the push will continue with the support of the Pershing. There goes a Stug. And here comes a second Stuka barrage, gonna be trying to wipe out the remaining squads, but they are able to escape with just a sliver of health. And here comes the flank from the 3476, gonna be trying to take out this Raketenwerfer. Raketenwerfer does essentially move around to try and destroy the 34, but the KB2 is supporting it. Of course, the Pershing does go down to the Command Panther and Puma push. Very, very good job with those 2 units. Finally managing to get a good flank off, and right now, Mr. Miles still has basically enough fuel to get out a new Pershing as well, so really, it's no problem for him. But at the same time, you have to remember that the T-3476 from Zara is still kind of being a pesky annoyance in the rear lines of the Germans. So even that victory will be kind of short-lived if Mr. Miles can get the Pershing back on the field, and if these Soviet units continue to be on the field, being essentially the brick wall that the Germans can't pass through. And again, more Stuka barrages. This time, the Stuka is up to 35 kills, much better than when I last saw it, so at least it's starting to do a lot of damage to the Allied troops. But at the same time, remember, what it really needs to do is not just kill, but also have an impact towards the actual game's outcome. And the way you do that is you wipe out units, and you force the enemy to really not have those crucial units in a crucial engagement. So for example, when you're about to push, you wipe out the anti-tank on cruise, and you essentially force the enemy to send some stuff to recruit it, or perhaps even just shoot the AT guns and force them to reposition, and then you do your push. Essentially, you have an impact towards the actual game's end instead of just racking up kills that may or may not be useful. Here comes a Panzerwerfer. Only hits a couple of vehicles and doesn't really do any damage, but it will be a sort of a recon by fire. It does spot all the vehicles that the Allies have, so now they know that the Allies still have their vehicles in basically the same position as they had the entire time, which is okay in terms of information. Right now, the Allies do have a bit of a triple cap going, but finally, the Germans are able to stop that by taking a bit of a detour towards the left side of the map, which is going to be fine. And here comes a second Panzerwerfer by von Ivan. Again, a little bit too much artillery on the German side. I would have preferred a little bit more of a mobile playstyle with medium tanks, just trying to go around, flank, you know, do those kinds of things. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're really trying to do that, which is a bit of a problem with what they're doing right now, in my opinion, because they really need some way to get around this wall. They can't really destroy it with artillery, because unless they have the heavy artillery or the big strikes that can just do a lot of damage to that KV-2 in one go, then they're not going to be able to take out the KV-2 or the Su-76 or Su-85, sorry. Because basically rocket artillery is not really going to do much to these heavier vehicles. So what they really want to do is take them out, so they need some kind of gun artillery or the likes. And they don't have any. Now, it's nice that they can wipe out the captain and every once in a while some allied units, but again, one thing is to rack up damage and kills, another thing is for those damage and kills to actually be meaningful towards the game's outcome. And there's another Pershing on the field for the Allies. And again, despite all the successes that the artillery may seem to be sort of accruing, despite that, the Allies still have a huge superiority in terms of actual map control and unit preservation, especially for vehicles. Now, Command Panther is going to be very useful at dealing with the Allied vehicles, but there's all these AT guns on the field, so again, it's going to be quite hard for the Germans to actually make use of those advantages that they do have. Now, this guy's going to die. Yep, executed. And there's two Su-85s actually firing on the Volkstrangers for whatever reason. Oh, they're firing on the Schwer Panzer Quarters. Interesting. Very nice usage of the actual focus sight ability from one of these Su-85s. And I think they're also trying to bait in the Command Panther because there's these AT guns. Unfortunately, they were a little bit out of position. And they could have been positioned a little bit better, for example, over here. Because if they had been, they would have been able to do quite a lot of damage to this Command Panther before it managed to come in. But the Schwer Panzer Quarters is going to go down, and G-Dot now doesn't have the ability to actually get any units out of that, which is a bit of a shame because he did have 1,000 manpower, so one Obersoldat squad might have been okay. Of course, Obersoldat might have been okay, but there is the KV-2 to consider, so no, maybe it wouldn't have been. KV-2 going to be wiping out these poor guys. Misses the first shot, so maybe the Volkstrangers will have a chance to retreat from the glorious Soviet engineering. Second shot almost kills the squad, but doesn't entirely do a lot of damage, which is very, very surprising. We'll see if the next shot does wipe it. No, they wisely retreat. Very lucky that they weren't wiped at the first or second rounds. Rangers with some bazookas gonna be scaring away the Cannon-Werfers. Very lucky to escape for these artillery pieces. On the right side, we do see the Allies trying to do a little bit of harassment maneuvers, but there are these Storm Pioneers in the building gonna be stopping that in their tracks. And right now, the Allies do have a bit of an infantry problem as the Su-85s are still kind of just staring about at the Axis infantry. And here comes two T-34-76 purchases from Zara. which are actually a very good idea. Because with the 476, what you need to be sort of considering is that it's extremely cheap, and it's very good at killing infantry, which means that it's usually pretty easy to get that bed 1 for the secure mode. And once you get it to bed 1 for the secure mode, you can essentially use it as an infantry squad in a way, except a more mobile one. So you don't really need infantry, especially as Soviet industry, when you have those repair stations to repair your vehicles. You don't really need infantry because you can use your T-3476s to actually have map control, even though you don't have any infantry, and then have a couple of support weapons and other vehicles to hold the territory. So again, very good usage of Soviet industry. Pretty much one of the reasons why I really enjoy this doctrine is the fact that you can use your vehicles in such a creative manner. And there goes a gun crew, which was a mortar. Interesting. So 2 tank destroyers going to be pushing up in the center along with the T-3476. Unfortunately, Bet 3-1 is probably going to go down if the command pepper decides to chase. And it's going to be... what? Oh, right. The Rakenwerfer being there actually almost made me think that the T-34 was abandoned. I was like, what is going on? Why is it blowing up when it's abandoned? And yeah, Vet 4 Puma going to be surviving by a sliver. And here comes a King Tiger from G-Dot. So he's going to be finally having that. And there is a Panther on the field from Von Ivan. So the Germans are able to get their revenge on the Allies right now, managing to take out both the T-34, Vet 3, and one of the Su-85s. They're going to be trying to push in that advantage and use the Panther to its full potential and just a charge straight at the Allied lines, but there is a Pershing to take into consideration. As well as the KV-2 going to be able to very easily hit that King Tiger. Because while the KV-2 normally has a hard time hitting those very fast-moving targets such as the Panther, it's going to be able to very, very easily hit that King Tiger. Now, looks like another T-3476 went down from the Command Panther's chase, but the Vet 2 Su-85 is still alive, which is going to be extremely useful for the Allies if they can keep that alive because of the extra penetration. Now, Zara has lost a couple of vehicles in that engagement, but he still has quite a lot of resources able to replenish those Soviet forces. So he's going to be able to fairly easily get more troops on the field and use that to his advantage. Now, Machine Gun Vet 2 going to be very, very, very reluctantly actually surviving. And right now, the Allies are still kind of struggling because of the very decent moves that Von Ivan is following on the left side of the map, constantly capturing that DP. Despite earlier having problems with harassment, he's starting to actually get that ball rolling quite a bit, which is good. And the KV-2 has not been moved in the last like 25 minutes, and it has almost reached Vet 3, which kind of speaks to how little the Axis has been paying attention to it. And in general, also how much more it could have been done with it. I still think that this would have been a much better spot for it, or even this would have been a much better spot for it, but oh well. T-34 is like, what the hell is going on? And finally finds out that there's some Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers gonna be obviously forced to retreat. Very lucky to actually escape unscathed from that close range encounter with the T-34-76. Gonna be opening the way for a Maxim cap on the left side fuel point. The Allies still have a bit of a fuel advantage, and right now the Germans are kind of out of resources, whereas the Allies, well, the Allies are kind of divided. They have one of them has manpower, the other has fuel. So hopefully soon enough they're going to be able to use those resources to their full potential and bring down the Axis. Now, what I would do right now if I was the Allies is be a little bit more aggressive, especially towards the center of the map. Try to make a few pushes towards the German rear areas because they know that the Germans have quite a lot of pop cap and resources tied up on artillery units. So if they can take the initiative and bring the fight to the Germans, then they're going to have a fairly easy time at actually maybe getting the Germans off balance, maybe getting them to be making mistakes. Now, there are a couple of mines that Mr. Miles is trying to bait the Panther into, but the Panther is a little bit too smart and does not take the bait. Now, a couple of fighting positions going down from Mr. Miles are going to be a decent choice because he does not want any random capturings to come in, and he does not want to tie up top cap to use in MGs. So it's actually a pretty interesting move, and one that kind of makes sense because the artillery will be firing all the time at other things. Now, There goes a Vet 5 Volkswagen squad, so that was going to be a very, very bad loss for the Germans. Vet 4 Puma going to be almost taken down by the American bazookas, but they're going to be fairly unscathed. I would right now capture this Maxim if I was Mr. Miles, and it does look like, unfortunately, the BAR squad will be completely wiped out by the fact that the King Tiger took them out before they were able to reman safely the MG. Now, Panther does hit the mine, but it manages to pop Panzer Tactician and run away. Right now, the anti-tank guns are trying to fire through with the Sebo rounds, but unfortunately, they will not be hitting anything because of the smoke. And here comes also the KV-2 doing quite a lot of damage on that King Tiger. King Tiger, it hasn't really been lucky at all this game, which is a bit of a problem for the German. He had more infantry going down for G-Dot. He has lost so many squads this game, and that's really been hurting him a lot. KV-2 going to be able to deal quite a lot of damage to the German squads in the center, which are just trying to desperately decap the point. The Germans are at 111. And if the Allies can get a triple cap going by just capturing the left side of the map, which they should be able to do quite easily, then they're going to have a very, very easy time at actually winning this game. Unfortunately, right now, they seem to be just playing so defensively. Which is really not playing into their favor. There goes the fighting position. Very good job from the Stuka barrage. The Stukas have 23 kills, which means that the other Stuka is going to be up even further, 55, and might be getting more from this barrage. And it looks like it hits the repair stations. Very good target, my friend. But yeah, still, quite a lot of kills coming in from both of these artillery pieces, but again, lots of kills, but no actual impact. I feel like that 200 fuel could have been much better used in some other ways. Ways that could have actually helped the Axis gain map control, which would have been much more effective than just artillery. Panther once again hitting a mine, and it's going to be chased around by a Sherman. I feel like the Sherman is being a little bit overzealous right now. Should be on the left side of the map. In fact, where are the T-3476s, and why are they not on the left side of the map clearing out those machine guns? Very good flank from some Penals. He back-teched to Special Rifle Command to get Penals. What a lord! Look at that! Wow, that's actually a very good idea. I never thought of that, because he's going to be able to use those flamethrowers to actually extremely good effect, considering that the Germans have lost all their veteran infantry. Wow. Would have never thought of that. Rather than just building conscripts, or, I don't know, whatever, he actually went for Penals. Wow. What a genius. Okay, unfortunately he's really not being that much of a genius with Su-85s because they get completely flanked and taken out of position. Here comes the push from the Panzerwerfer. What the fuck are you doing, Von Ivan? Holy shit, he's pushing up with the Panzerwerfer. It's gonna go down from the Sherman, unfortunately. And also the Panther gonna be going down along with his friend King Tiger because he's essentially just kind of traffic jamming up this entire area, and they're being sort of fanned into this very, very tight corridor and being shot like fish in a barrel. Unfortunately, the Panthers will escape both of an incredibly low amount of HP. Very lucky on both those vehicles' part. King Tiger going to be taking quite a bit of damage and forced to retreat, but what really matters right now is the fact that the Allies have the control of the left side VP as well as the center and the right. Soon enough, these Rangers will be able to capture the center. Unfortunately, they decided to retreat, despite the fact they could have very easily stayed alive with the help of some smoke barrages and captured the point, but still, that doesn't take away from the fact that the Allies do have 60 points to go before they win. KV-2 has been fully repaired and now will be coming in and be a glorious fire support unit in the center. Going to be firing on that Command Panther. Command Panther obviously able to outtrade the KV in terms of HP, but the Command Panther is just charging in and having absolutely no regard for its personal safety, which of course gets it killed, because he just basically did the equivalent of jumping down a 7-story roof onto a very, very busy, crowded street. So not only endangering him, but also other people, aka the Allies, or sorry, the Axis. Because, well, Without the command pamphlet, I really see no way in which the Germans can recover, because they really needed that vehicle, you know? It was a bit of a shame to lose it. Yeah, more Stuka barrages will be preventing the Allies from actually capturing the center VP. Right now, the Germans have control of the left, but unfortunately, the Allies have a ton of units on the right, able to just continue the push and draw some more German units to the right. And what this will do is it will draw the Germans from the right, and it will allow the Allies to capture the center and the left soon enough. Especially if the Soviet industry player can get his forces back up. Considering it almost looks as if he's got infinite resources with which to bring out vehicles, then he's going to be able to do that quite easily. Oh no! Retreat! Mr. Miles! Why are you doing this to me? Okay, no. See, it seemed like he was about to lose his squad, but he was incredibly lucky. Oh, never mind, okay. Well, he was still incredibly lucky that the Vetri rifleman survived. Okay. Seems like the Allies will be able to take control of the center, at least for now. Stuka barrage does come in, but the Rangers are made of steel and they just don't die. Just takes a rocket to the face, but they don't die, obviously. Praise America. And KV2 up to 44 kills. Gonna be able to deal some harassment on this King Tiger. And also, along with the free Su-85s again, gonna be able to fairly easily take that out. And the Puma is still alive and up to Vet 5, despite the fact that it's only got 4 vehicle kills. Okay, never mind. I thought some of those were infantry kills. Stuka is up to 58 kills though. Up to Vet 4. And there goes a... Well, something just died. It just got evaporated into the 7th dimension, so I do not know what it was. And finally, the Allies have brought up a machine gun. Such a great innovation to actually suppress the enemy that's trying to capture the center of the map. Along with this glorious KV2 in support, we're going to be able to very, very easily have the blessing of Comrade Stalin to keep control of that center VP. KV2 going to be able to easily destroy all these German units that are trying to come in. And again, I'm not quite sure as to why at any point they decided to not... Well, they didn't decide at any point to just bum rush this KV2 from multiple directions and kill it. At least forcing Zara to spend more resources on getting new KV2s instead of new other units. Because the vet on that KV2 is extremely valuable. Not the vet 3, but the vet 2 is really the one. Because of the range increase. Range increase and accuracy increase on the KV2 is extremely useful. As you can see, it's firing from all the way over here to here. It's like a screen and a half away. With the blessing of Comrade Stalin, he's able to do quite a lot of damage on any kind of German unit that enters its very, very long range. That's kind of not only being very good at dealing damage, but also very good at zoning Germans. So kind of decreasing their options. So really, what you want to do is you want to just prevent that from happening. You want to prevent the Allies from having the kind of capability to do that. So you want to do a flank where the enemies are not expecting it, while the KB is still kind of not vetted up. And then bring all your units and perhaps with some artillery support and taking it out. But once you leave it firing, you do some kind of half-hearted attempts at taking it out, and you do this kind of stuff, then the KV2 is going to be glorious and be basically unstoppable. As you can see, it's just doing incredible amounts of damage to King Tiger as well, and it's only because of the fact that no other Soviet units were available to actually spot that King Tiger. And the Fuhrer said to push, so push. Oh, glorious KV2 just completely putting a stop to everything. And there goes the end of the game, I think, because it's going to be over. Oh, Stuka Barrage. Stuka Barrage. Stuka Barrage. Rip fighting position. And there it goes. Perfect. End of the game.